Hi everyone. So in this lecture we will see the demonstration of @CSV file source annotation. So here in our JUnit 5 project, in our test folder, I will be creating a test class. I will give it a name as CSV file source demo, and I will keep it in a package. com.hubberspot.junit5.parameterized_test.csv file source. We'll click finish. So friends, in our test class CSV file source demo, we will be seeing the demonstration of @CSV file source annotation, that how it is used to provide different values to our @parameterized test. Also friends, in our previous lecture we discussed about @CSV source. So in that lecture what we discussed, that we used @CSV source to provide these different values to our parameterized test. So friends, in this lecture the idea will be the exactly same. Just instead of providing these values directly through the code, we will provide it by the CSV files. So here I will simply copy this test method and I will reuse it in CSV file source demo test class. So here I will change the name of this method as CSV file source demo test. So friend, the test case will remain as it is. Here we are initializing string helper class and we want to test the reverse method, that whatever string we are providing to this reverse method, we get the reverse of this input string, and simply we are asserting with our expectation. So this input and the expectation we are providing it using the CSV. So here instead of using this @CSV source, we will be using @CSV file source. So this annotation, as the name suggests, it requires a file which is of type CSV. So the first parameter to CSV file source is the resources. So friends, as we discussed in the last lecture, the resources takes in the path to the CSV file. So here we'll simply provide a path to the CSV file, and we know that we have to keep that CSV file to our class path. So let's say in our test folder I create a CSV file. Here I give a name to this CSV file, let's say reverse.csv. We'll click finish. We'll simply open this file and let's say we provide two values, say car and its reverse, and let's say test and its reverse. So this data is exactly same what we discussed in our last lecture. The only difference is, instead of providing this data directly to our code, we are providing it through the CSV file. And in our CSV file source demo, here I will provide the path as reverse.csv. So friends, if I run the test case now, so here you can see the test case got executed successfully, giving a green bar. So this test case, CSV file source demo test, ran 2 times. One, it ran with car and rec as the value, and second, it ran with test and tset as the values. So friends, here you can see that each line in our CSV file will invoke the @parameterized test that many times. So if our CSV file is 2 lines, @parameterized test will run 2 times. So friends, this is how @CSV file source annotation works. The rules to provide this CSV value is exactly the same what we discussed in our last lecture when we discussed @CSV source. So friends, we also discussed that apart from resources, there is also one more parameter to this @CSV file source, which is the number of lines to skip. So I'll simply copy this and paste it below. Here I give the test name as CSV file source demo with number of lines to skip test. So friend, here let's say in our CSV file, the first line I give a value as, let's say, input, and second fields, let's say, expect. So friends, here you can see that my test data is starting from line number 2, and the first line is simply to tell that what this first value is and what this second value is. So the first value is our input to our reverse method, and the second value is our expectation. So we are providing this expectation to our test that whatever it should return from reverse should match with this. So in our CSV file source demo class, we have provided the resources parameter. Now let's say I provide the num lines to skip parameter and I give the value as 1, saying that I want to skip the first line because my test data is starting from the second line. So now this @CSV file source will read this CSV from the line number 2, just skipping the first line. So if I run the test case now, so here you can see the test case got executed 2 times, one with the value as car and rack, and other with the value as test and tset. So friends, here you can see the advantage of using @CSV file source, that once you have written the test case, what you can do is you can simply provide a third value, something like, let's say, cake, and this should be our expectation that when we pass cake to a reverse method, it should return a string like this. So here if I run this test case again, you can see the test case got executed 3 times, and the third time with a value as cake and ecake. So friends, here you can see that we haven't changed any code for simply testing this value. So this is like we have written this test case once, and we are simply changing the values of input and expect by this CSV file. So this is the main advantage, that we don't have to write this test case again and again for different values. So friends, this was all about @CSV file source annotation. I hope you like this video. Thanks, have a nice day.